Well, folks, 2021 is finally coming to a close. And we all know what that means. Well, everybody on YouTube starts doing their little year-end review videos. I am no exception to this one here at all. And here it is, the CellGen Studios 2021 year-end review, brought to you by me. Now, I've written this out, I've done a quick proofread, but I haven't recited or practiced really anything that's in here, so I'm trying to be honest to you. Let's get this over with. And that is with, well, the basics. 2021 was exceptionally busy. COVID was interesting. 2020, we all assumed that the world was going to end. A lot of people went home to work. Projects were put on hold. Assignments were temporarily suspended. And then by 2021, there was a lot of okay, I guess the world's not gonna end. Oh, by the way, we still have to finish that work. So everyone got kicked into high gear, and not just me, but just in general, there was a lot more things. Everybody was busy doing stuff. Everyone was trying to catch up. I was no exception, and even for this video here, like this was supposed to be finished 7 days ago, last week. It is December 30th. I am 7 days late finishing this video, and this has to go live or go up tomorrow. So that just tells you just how busy I have been. Surprise, I was far busier than I expected I was going to be. I wanted to spend a lot more time at this table showing off cool stuff and talking about other various things. Instead, we saw a lot of work on my car, and we saw a lot of repairs that were being done, and believe me, there's a lot of things that need to be repaired. But honestly, I want to make more videos that have meat to them, something that's actually a lot more captivating besides, oh, it's just another repair video. Because again, I'm surrounded by really, really cool stuff. There are in fact so many videos on my car, I've actually shelved a couple because you can only talk about the car so much. But at the same time, we'll get back to this later, there was a lot of work that had to get done on that car, okay? Other videos that I wanted to produce were supposed to be done right here, but this is also kind of a workspace because my workbench is so small. So I ended up with the production area here being used as a workbench for a variety of projects. My Motorola MDTs are one such example. We may talk about that later. That's just one of the other projects. I know I have a video going for that in the future. And for a few other people, I know there was some criticism saying I never look at the comments, I never reply. There's a lot of comments that are left in videos. I do see a lot of comments, and it's interesting, a lot of the comments I see get posted and get sent to my email. For some reason, they're not flagged as spam, there's nothing wrong with them, they just disappear. I'm totally aware that if you left a message and for some reason it disappeared, that wasn't me. There's a fair number of people right now who are running into issues with YouTube just kind of auto-magically disappearing comments and messages almost as soon as they're posted. And I'm not being told about them, they're not being held for review, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm hoping YouTube fixes that one there. Usually, I want to be able to do 25 videos in a year. I'm glad to say that we have broken that, and I have gone beyond that. We almost hit 30 videos this year. Part of this is because I just had so many short videos I was able to do. The other was that when I had the time, this camera saved my butt a lot because, again, I couldn't work from this table here. So you got to see around at some of the other things I was doing with this little camera, 1920 by 1080. I have a lot of praise for this camera, which is the Canon Vixia HF R300. I don't even remember the model number. Yes, I did just read the model off the bottom side of this thing. The reorganization of the channel is complete. So what was going on there last year is that I wanted to kind of recategorize how the playlists inside of it were, because like there's so many things going on. There's repairs, there's car stuff, there's computer stuff, there's just cool general electronic stuff, and then there's just like, I guess we call them now YouTube shorts, but I just call them just general nonsense. Like there's no point or anything to them. It's just like, oh, let's just record this and put it up and see what sticks. And typically it doesn't stick, but oh well, there's some nonsense you get to see at the same time. Another section that I created was called The Work of Others. Over the years, I have found not just on YouTube, but like VHS tapes and laser discs and just old VHS rips and tapes, like just basically stuff I've digitized. Just these short videos, or they could be training discs, or they could be like kiosk discs. This is really not my work. I wanted to try and make sure to just definitely say like this is separate from anything I do, and it's just off in another area of the channel. The other reason for this as well is that I get to be able to keep tabs on it. This is the area where I get a lot of copyright content matches, and that's mainly, it's coming down to like the music that's being played in the background of some of these videos. And I have the digital copies here now of all these digitized. I'm working to try and get them uploaded to like the Internet Archive, where it's a lot less risky to the status of your account. So if I start getting problems with videos, they're going to disappear out of that section. So always keep an eye on that. Something might show up, something might go away, something might get muted. We'll see what happens with that one there. I'm just going to see how that one works, and if it doesn't work, we're just going to get rid of that whole section in particular. I'm not really sure actually also if these videos here could prevent me from being monetized in general. So as per usual, I don't monetize the channel at all, but I have this feeling that like when you go to apply to be monetized, I've not looked into this, they will review the videos you have in any standing you're in right now. And I'm assuming they're going to find that playlist and say, no, you got all these uploads that are causing problems. We'll figure out what happens there. The good news in December is that we finally broke 2,000 subscribers here on the channel. It's taken over 10 years to get to this point. For those who have recently subscribed and recently started following my videos, I really do hope you enjoy the videos that are coming up. For those of you, the many of you, who have subscribed in the past and are watching every video that comes up, you've been watching every update I make on Twitter, thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate it, and I do see your comments. But at the same time, I'm curious. I don't know if this is because YouTube doesn't show me around in recommendations because I'm not monetized, but I can't help but feel that I'm falling staggeringly short of all the other tech channels which have popped up in the last 3 years. Don't worry about COVID. I know a bunch of new channels popped up since then. But it's odd because in that time frame, just 3 years, I've seen some channels go to 10,000 subscribers, 20,000 subscribers, even 60,000 subscribers. It's absolutely crazy just how many subscribers have these people have gotten. I really don't know the metrics or the analytics or anything behind this. I'm just assuming that this is the result of making themselves visible, getting more involved in the community, advertising themselves not as a brand, but as a channel you should go to, and the quality of their videos matches exactly that. So I really shouldn't be worried about that. Again, I'm not making money off of this. I just want to make videos, but at the same time, it concerns me because why is that happening? I really don't know. But what it does also do, like when I first started this, there wasn't a lot of tech channels, so I could kind of on my own leisure produce videos on cool and weird stuff, and cool, it was there. But now other channels are starting to find the same stuff that I'm into, and I'm finding that there are times where I planned to make a video on something and then someone else reviews it. And what no one likes is a copycat. And I'm talking like people who do hydraulic press channels, for example. I remember when that exploded, and a few other channels pretty quickly popped up after which, all of which had hydraulic presses just kind of squishing things. The same can kind of apply with tech channels. One person can do a review on a product, and you gotta wait. You can't do one just immediately after, because no one's going to watch one review and then watch another review of the exact same thing immediately following afterwards. There's actually multiple videos that I've had to hold off on simply because like things were going and advancing, and then someone else reviewed it and I'm like, okay, well, we got to shelf that. In one particular case, this happened so long ago. This was back when I was in standard definition. So it is like, it is still, I want to do the video. I'm just waiting. Among all those other channels that are doing quite well though, is also one of my recommendations for this year's YouTuber. And that is Cathode Ray Dude. He's just down in the Seattle area apparently, or at least by the looks of it, and his videos are fantastic. They contain a lot of content. He covers some really strange topics, and I always love the quality of his productions because he always adds little tiny quirks into each and every one of them. All right, now we're gonna go into our finances. Now we're not talking specifically the finances here of the channel. Let's get this over with immediately. We don't monetize. I don't use Patreon. I don't advertise, and the sponsors that I do have, we'll get to sponsor actually in a moment, don't give me money. So the channel brought in no money. This is completely normal, and that's just simply because the inconsistency of the productions, be it in quality or timed release, I really don't see a reason to say, here's my work, now give me money. That would be a really low quality, low paying job. I'm pretty sure if you like got a gig and that's just kind of what you did, you'd lose your job pretty quickly. On the topic of sponsors this year, in February, for a variety of reasons, I was asked by Disappearing Ink not to include them in the closing banner of every video. I'm not entirely sure what's going on in the background there. I had a bit of a communications blackout on what was going on, but you'll probably notice that only the Hackery is listed as our sponsor. I am working pretty hard to try and get Disappearing Ink back on there. I'm trying to negotiate with them. Right now, I can't talk to him in person, so it's not making my life easy in this regard. But we're working towards a solution. I'm hoping to get him back on the title card by sometime next year. Money overall is getting incredibly tight, not just here in the channel, but with me in general, and it's starting to cause problems. I got a raise, that's great. Unfortunately, it's still being made to the equivalent of $12.75 an hour American, which is really bad. I mean, sure, like I'm doing my dream job of being able to be a tech guy who answers the phone, and pretty much that's all it is. But there's so much other stuff that's piled on top of it, and I'm not being paid more, and I'm not going to bring my work into this. But yes, we're not getting paid a whole hell of a lot. And as a result, it's kind of interfering with some of the productions here at the channel. Most of my income is going to bills and the vehicle repair. There is a lot of repairs to the vehicle that have to be done. This year the brakes were done. Last year we had the head done. This upcoming year here, I'm actually planning on having the entire block rebuilt. Believe me, that's a lot cheaper than you would expect on a vehicle of that age. And there's work that has to come up on the differential actually quite soon. But it's important here that this is my daily driver, not just kind of my show car, so I do need this thing to get to work. Even though I could probably sell this thing, get a Toyota Corolla, and that could be my daily driver. That's a bajillion times more reliable. I'm in this one for the long run, okay? Because my pay has been so low, I have not been able to move out of my parents' basement. It's not something I'm proud of, but unfortunately in British Columbia, this is kind of a norm. Socially, it's not as unappealing, but it still kind of puts a little bit of strain when you're in your 30s and you're still living in your parents' basement just simply because you can't afford rent on anywhere around here. You have to go way out into the boonies, at which point your job makes no more practical sense because now you're driving 2 hours just to get in the morning, which is not good. But because I'm in a basement, it means that I'm in a lot more of a cramped space. I have a lot of stuff, and this is resulting in a lot of things piling up. I'm trying to not make it like little channels of stuff because that's hoarding. That's kind of bad. You keep it organized. That's pretty straightforward, right? But it is interfering with these videos here because I have run into situations where I can't reach stuff to assemble videos because there are things in the way. It's not a fun thing to do. The consideration of renting a storage unit has been made to fix this. It is also quite expensive. Honestly, I don't really want to be moving stuff into a storage unit when I should be moving it into a larger place, just simply because it means now I have to pay money to store this stuff. It's on the table, but it's not a high priority or seriously being considered at this time, unless funds change it anyways. Simply because so much money is going toward bills. Rent in particular is costing me a ton of money. Being able to buy supplies to repair stuff around the building here is not being fulfilled. So I can't buy capacitors, like there's odds and ends, like transistors, circuit boards, soldering materials. I can't buy any of that right now. So I have a lot of projects which are on hold for the indefinite future until I can figure out how exactly to fix this whole financing thing. And I'm not joking when I say that like a lot of money is going to bills and making sure that I'm not in debt. And I've tried very hard to make sure that this channel and everything I do doesn't put me in debt. I'm not blowing tons of money on old stuff. I'm keeping very, very, very careful tallies on what I'm spending money on, and I'm trying to make everything last as long as possible. For example, if we look down here, you will notice that even my shoes are not in perfect condition. They're falling apart. I'm walking out of them, and it's below zero outside. These shoes need to last until the end of the year. We're getting to that point there, so in the new year, I'm going to have new shoes. But like, that's how I'm trying to squeeze every penny out of everything I got right now to make this work, okay? I'm just not being crazy clothed and haired for the sake of it. Okay, just a little bit of an update from that little bit here yesterday regarding the shoes. For a New Year's gift, everybody at work received a $75 Walmart gift card from our employer. And you know what that means? It means some of us could have gotten food or electronics. I've gotten myself some new shoes. So don't worry about me wandering around in the cold here and wet without having like shoes with holes in them. Brand new shoes. So these will hold me a while. So that's all good, okay? We're all cool there. Cool, cool. Okay, back to the video. Anyways, my personal finances aside, financial requirements for the channel itself, we haven't really needed to do anything. The upgrade to HD did everything at once. So the lighting is done, the camera is done, the audio recording equipment is done, everything is done and set up. And really, there's no expenses the channel has produced this year, which is great. That's awesome. That means no money's coming in, but also no money's going out just to make these videos. One thing, however, I would like to really be able to fix is that my main lens for the camera that you're watching me on right now has a bad autofocus on it. And as a result, I can't one point set my focus. I have to manually set it. As a result, I'm probably going to find out later that this is actually a little bit fuzzy and that my depth of field here for my focus isn't all that great. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to see either if it's just easier to get another lens, if I can find another lens, or to get this one repaired. If I could get help with that, it would definitely go a long way towards future videos. All right, there's another page of this done. Now we get to move on to projects. Okay, so outside of work, I'm doing a lot of things. Hence why I keep telling everyone I'm super busy and I'm not able to completely commit to videos. So the question is, what am I doing that's taking up so much time and was apparently taking up all of this workspace here? Well, let's work on these. Number one, the RAW vending machine. Remember that video I made a number of years ago when I had managed to drag out of a very, very dilapidated building a very, very neglected vending machine? I still have that. As of right now, that machine is currently awaiting assistance to get some metal work on it. This is it here. It's been painted. It looks a hell of a lot better. The inside of it is absolutely fantastic. The compressor unit I determined was not as bad as I thought, so I've been in the process of rebuilding that used out of scrap parts I've been able to find. There was actually a kitchen supply center down from where I work They had a compressor package sitting out in the snow that someone had left there. And I just asked, like, yo, can I have the condenser off this and the fan? He was like, go for it. And I was like, Merry Christmas. So I have the parts to fix that. But it's now in a state where the compressor's about ready and we're about ready to start doing a bunch of severe metal work to begin repairing the door. But the body is all has all been cleaned up and it's all been painted, and that's now in a state where it's stabilized. But it's currently on definite hold because, again, metal work and money. The Laserdisc auto changers, you know, the giant things that I have directly underneath here. Last I tested on them, they worked, but like from the video, we could spin one up, but the other one wasn't wanting to behave. This is turning out to be, it is a capacitor issue in the motor driver circuits for the spindles. I don't have the money right now to recap them. So they're currently sitting here full of laser karaoke discs, actually, but I can't do any work on them myself right now. So that's a project that's also on hold. Remember those two AS400 720 series machines I had? I still have them, and after discussing with a few IBM people my next plan of options on these things, I only have a couple of SSA discs in them, and they both have bad power supplies, which are not interchangeable. I'm gonna have to mothball them. They're good for parts, but they're huge. I don't even have a space inside the building to be running these things, and they require a lot of parts. They require a lot of service. They require access to software I don't have, and worst of all, they're full of Dallas NVRAM chips that contain licensing information. When those go dead, and they have gone dead, the licensing for those systems is gone. There is no way that I can find to bring those back or otherwise get those licenses again. So there's really not much of a use for those things. I'm holding on to them for now. If someone can give me a better idea on what to do here, they might otherwise end up being sent back to someone else and added to a static collection. The PDP-1123 in the other room. Remember the RL02 discs that I got a while back? So there's an 1123 with a KDF-11B CPU. It's the F11 chipset CPU. And that's all wired up and set up in the other room. But what happened is that while I was working on it, the CPU developed a fault in the bus for the ROM, and it keeps on halting with a bootstrap checksum error. Even if you take the bootstrap ROM out of it and give it an external bootstrap ROM, it still doesn't. Like, I can't even get it down to ODT. There's something wrong with that CPU board. So I've been trying to figure out how to debug that. That's another time-related repair that I currently don't have time for. On top of that is I also have a PDP-1184. The 1184 is important here because it has my RA82. Remember that disk drive that I've been working on for years? It still has spin error issues. There's something more involved with the logic board on that thing, and it just keeps losing track of the speed and the RPMs of it. And those like intermittent drops, I can't see them, but it may not just be dropping them, but it's dropping somewhere, and as a result, I can't use that drive. I've made some cabling for it. I'm really close to testing it. But again, as time permits, I will be working on that. Servers. So you've seen me show off everything I have in my servers, or in my racks actually, and right now most of them are not running. I actually have to reorganize that because I've received an upgraded server that needs to go in there that's physically larger than the capacity of the racks right now, as well as I also have another UPS, which means I now have more reliable, uninterruptible power for my servers for when my downtime happens, because I get power interruptions rather often over here. Key punch. Well, we were talking about that pretty late last summer, was that Model 29 key punch. It's doing okay. Right now, it's currently wrapped up and tucked away safely for the winter. I'm not working on it right now. Last we finished it off, I'd finished polishing the metal in it. I had begun to get a lot of the mechanics working. Now I'm just working on fixing and clean out the bajillion contacts that are inside of this thing. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of cleaning to do. Again, I would like to thank Curious Mark for helping me get the documentation and the wiring diagrams and schematics for the Model C key punch. They have been very helpful. Thank you very much. I do apologize if I had to nag you a little bit on that, but it did go to a good place, and it's helping me get this key punch fixed. Last year, I was supposed to have a new storage area for where I store all of my CRTs and monitors, because I have a lot of them. I have a lot of systems, of course. And what I was running into was I needed to build a new storage unit. One, because it was getting kind of crowded in the old one, and two, city bylaws said, no, you can't be building a shed that's part of the fence that separates two property lines. So that shed was supposed to be built last year. The price of lumber went stupid, so we decided that wasn't going to happen, and instead we took out a retaining wall in the backyard that was about to collapse, and that took out the budget for replacing that shed. We're going to try that again next year. There's a fair number of monitors I need to get access to review a number of systems, so I'm hoping to get that done in due time. I have another slot machine. This is a secret, a terribly kept secret at this point. I am working on it. It's currently getting reclad. I'm trying to figure out some solutions on getting some chrome plating done to it. But other than that, it's a lot less electronic than the Summit machine that I'm looking at right now. And I'm hoping to make a video on that in the near future. The pack drive, the HP 7925 pack drive, that was one that I was asked about a couple of times because no one's seen it in a while. It's still here. It is still here in the building. I still have it. I still have one crashed pack for it that I haven't been able to spin out because it's a crashed pack, and if I put that in there, obviously it would destroy the drive. I have been unable to find more packs for that, or at least more packs that weren't like $500 on eBay. But what I have been able to do is originally I wanted to attach this to one of my SGI systems that had GPIB, IEEE488, HPIB, basically the same thing. I don't have to do that now because I have another system. It is the Hewlett-Packard 9845 Model B. A 45B is a very neat multi-processor system. I have the ROMs for it. I have the mass storage ROM, and within HP's own documentation, there's this ability to attach the 9845 to the 7925 pack drive as a working configuration. And you can do wild stuff in there beyond store files. You can save the entire state of the system, CPU and RAM, to disk, and you can actually create just machine states that you could store on disk and load up, and the machine would boot up exactly as you left it. I've been trying to find the boards to make this happen. There's a couple that had to be attached to the disk controller that I have in the drive right now. Actually, Curious Mark again approached me saying, have you tried contacting Ed Blacksmith? And he had a video regarding Ed Blacksmith because he has a lot of HP stuff. And I told him, yes, I did try, but I didn't hear anything. So he went back, and Mr. Video was very nice and asked, and apparently he had found one of the boards that I needed. So we got in touch again, and as it turned out, it was actually too late. Mr. Blacksmith has actually cleared out a bit more, and he lost track of that board. So really close, but I want to get that drive attached to that 45. I know the parts exist. I got the part numbers. I know there's people in high places have now tried to help me out here. Thank you very much, by the way. I'm hoping to get this done this year, not really sure, but it's a long-term project and I want to see it done. Motorola MDTs. A couple of people saw this on my Twitter feed a couple of times in the last few years, and that is I have one right here actually, a couple of these little buddies right here. This is the Motorola MDT 9100 386. This is a mobile computer with a CRT display. Normally you found these in police cars. It actually is supposed to have a radio unit in here. There's a bunch of fun stories I have about how I got this and how I pretty much had to play Puzzle 3D to reassemble the two units I have. Originally I had 3, but one of them was given to Disappearing Ink kind of as payment for a task. So there will be a future video involving this. The website. So for a fair amount of time, I have owned the domain cellgen.org. And honestly, I've been having issues. You may notice that if you try and email me through the YouTube channel, cgsinfo@cellgen.org, you can actually email me and I'll answer your questions. But there's no website and there's not a whole heck of a lot else that's going on there. That's just simply because I'm running into hosting issues. I'm hoping to get that sorted out at one point here. I have a couple of people helping me. And so completes yet another page of this here, and now we can stop talking about the past. We can stop talking about what's happening right now, and let's look forward into what's going to be happening in the channel in 2022 and beyond. Well, we will continue with another 25 videos per year. So I'm going to be trying to do one video every 2 weeks. We'll see what happens with January here because things are maybe slowing down for me. I'm going to try and get a couple of videos done, get them pushed out. Again, we're going to maintain our usual schedule. That is one video every second Saturday, if possible, and more nonsensical things will be going up on Wednesdays at noon. For our Saturday videos, by the way, that's 9 a.m. Pacific. I really do want to get back into doing some of the more computer-oriented and tech-oriented videos, enough with working on the car. I want to kind of hiatus that a little bit. They're easy videos to make, sure, but it's a tech channel, so let's do more tech stuff. Let's actually talk about this elephant in the room right over here, this giant NCR cash register. No, this one here is not the 250. This is a Class 52. This is a full mechanical cash register. Don't worry, I've been wanting to do a video on this thing here since I finished working on it in 2020. So this one's going to be exciting. Believe me, we'll get to that though. Speaking of cash registers, I actually have 2 more videos to do about that. One is a follow-up video for the 250. You haven't seen what condition it's in now that I've cleaned it up and done the best I could to restore it with what little documentation I have. And since we have this mechanical one here and some of the early electronic ones, let's also see if I can put in a video of a modern electronic cash register. I say here modern in quotes, but it's going to be more pretty much just a PC at that point. I'll show you what that is once we get to that. Regarding finances, after that whole spiel I just made saying that I'm doing terrible financially, I still want to keep it like that way. My financial problems remain my problem. I am not going to beg you guys for money, okay? I don't want to beg you girls for money. I don't want to beg anyone for money, okay? It's just a kind of a terrible thing to do. I'm not some televangelist saying that if you give me money, your souls will be saved. Point I'm trying to get here though, no Patreon, no GoFundMes, no monetizations at this time, okay? I really kind of want to keep it the way it is right now. And if I can make money on the side, I'll try and throw what I can into the channel and we'll make things easier. That being said, if you are really determined to give me money, okay, screw this. All right, if you want to give me money, we'll talk about this. How about that? Email me, the email address for you to contact me at. Some people actually know my contact details through IRC or Discord. Let's get in touch. I will try and figure out what exactly you want in return for this money. But other than that, if you really want to give me money, fine. You know how to reach me. We'll talk, okay? Speaking of we'll talk, I will continue to remain active on Twitter. It's a great way for me to put these little tiny, lots of photographs of things I'm working on, so you get to see what I'm doing. I try not to weigh my opinions into politics or other debates, simply because this is a tech channel and really I don't need to be weighing into that kind of stuff. So you can still find me on Twitter. There are a fair number of people who have seen me on Discord. If you want to talk to me there, sure, I can try and answer some questions. Otherwise, I'll kind of be wandering around there. I'm also on IRC. I do wander around on the old /net IRC servers now that Freenode is gone. So if you don't know who I am, you can talk to me, go for it. But I am around, I am about, And I do hear about the conversations of all sorts of things that are happening in the tech world and various other vintage electronics projects that are being done at any given time. And what do we have here for the next section? Questions. I've been asking every year for people to send me in questions. You can email them to me. You can DM the questions through Twitter. I actually kind of discovered this year that my Twitter notifications have been kind of screwy, so some people haven't been able to send out Twitter notifications to me. You can do it now, okay? But anyways, questions for this year. I do have a couple, and I'm more than willing to answer some of these questions. Thank you to everybody who sent me in questions. Now let's get started. There's a lot to cover here. Question number 1 I received was, do you still enjoy being part of the vintage community? Yes. I've met a lot of amazing people in my time in this community, and I started really getting serious with this community back in 2005. In that time, I've met Al Casso, I've talked to and met Bruce Damer, I've been involved with the guy who discovered the Twiggy Mac. He actually lives not here in this town, but he lives close enough that I've been able to hang out with him. I've talked about him. I've seen his Lisa, which had a different color CRT in it. I've gotten involved with Disappearing Ink. I've gotten involved with Linus Media Group, with LTX. And I've been a participant at the Vintage Computer Festival Pacific Northwest, which it seems may have been one of the last events. I've been invited to go down to VCF West. I've met Tech Tangents. Like, it's been fantastic. I've seen some amazing projects sprout out of the ground in the last 10 years alone, and it's just fantastic seeing the community as we discover some older technology, we begin to reverse engineer, and we begin to really crack secrets that going back into the early 2000s and even the 90s, like, I was like, will we ever find a solution to this, or will I ever see it again? And we are seeing those. I love being involved in this community, and everybody's chatty. Question number 2 is, will I make another SGI video? Ooh, okay, this is gonna be fun. I could easily do a video on the Octane, but I also have many other SGIs. Personal Iris, the Indigo 2, the Onyx, maybe the Crimson. An Octane, sure enough, but the O2 is a system that I actually regularly use in the other room for IRC, and I also use it for mail and other stuff like that. So I will try and do another SGI video. The big problem right now is that all of that stuff is buried. Like, the SGI machines are in the back of my storage unit, and all of my CRTs are buried at the back of my monitor storage, which we've mentioned before, I'm in the process of rebuilding. Question number 3. Are there machines you don't have yet that you want that you would make room for by offloading something else? The PDP-12. This is a neat system. I've always considered it the ancestor to our modern microcontrollers and Arduino. It is a strange hybrid machine. It's a Link 8, but it's also a PDP-8. It's got similarities to like the PDP-8A, I think. One of the early units there. It's an enormous system. It's like almost a rack and a half wide. It's huge. It's heavy. It has link tape, which is kind of like deck tape, but operates in a different fashion. And it has all sorts of programmable inputs and outputs and a video display. I used to see a whole bunch of these things popping up online for sale. And it seems that Paul Allen, of all people, bought a whole bunch of them for the Living Computer Museum. There is a bunch of them in storage, and as of right now, their fate is unknown, as the Living Computer Museum is currently closed indefinitely. But yes, I would absolutely, I would get rid of the 720s, no problem. I would make space to fit that machine in here if I could somehow figure out a way to get it inside of this building. Question number 4. Why haven't you driven down to your local ISP and made a fuss about the ports only being unblocked on a business account? What they're trying to say here is that I use TELUS fiber optic internet. We got a really damn good deal. We were one of the first people in the neighborhood to be getting ADSL. We've been on ADSL for years. Then they gave us fiber basically as a free upgrade. And fiber's great. I have 300 megabytes up and 300 megabytes down. It's synchronous internet. But all of the standard ports are blocked. So port 80 obviously is blocked, but other stuff like I can't host a mail server, I can't do SSH, I can't do IRC, like I can't run like a Quake server. All of these ports, the standard ports are blocked. Even to host a website here in the building, all the standard ports are blocked. I would have to do port redirects and like it gets really, really, really complicated and strange after that. And TELUS has told me that if I have a business account or a business tier internet connection, all these ports can be unblocked at my discretion. What is a business tier account? Well, it's the exact same modem, it's the exact same connection, it's the exact same speed. They just give me the option to unblock those ports. That's it. I am not willing to justify the extra cost. And I think it's like $150 or $175 a month for the business account. I can't justify the cost. It's too expensive. So I can't just drive down to TELUS and do that. Sorry. Question number 5 is, I have some CRTs. Do you want them? Regretfully, I will have to pass on that. I have a lot of CRTs right now as it is, so I really can't be accepting in any more right now. Unless they are something very, very, very special or very, very, very specific, I can't be accepting monitors or donations or anything like that right now because I don't have the physical space. And I feel that I may not be the best person to be donating this stuff to right now because there's no guarantees I can take good care of it. I may just have to stack it somewhere and not actually have it on a shelf or on display. And I feel really bad in that case there because I feel like if you're donating something to me, I should at least try and show it off or make it look nice, not just stuff it into a storage unit and not do anything with it for a couple of years, if ever. Question number 6, do you still own the Ultra 64 board? What this person is talking about is I actually own one of the Ultra 64 development boards for the Nintendo 64 that went into a Silicon Graphics Indie. I bought this back in like 2009, I believe, and back then it was like $350 shipped, and I don't have the Joyboard adapter, so I can't actually plug controllers into it and play with any of the demos or load. I think someone at this point here has now modified ROM files, so you actually can play N64 games on the Ultra 64 board, but I do still have the board, but I just have no way to do anything with it right now other than display fancy static demos. Actually, to be technical, I don't have the board here in the building right now. It's down on the coast. I lent it out to someone a couple of months ago because they wanted to do some work with it because like these debug tools are now being like kind of beneficial both for emulation and people are trying to make their own games. So I have a person who is borrowing it right now while he's working on it. He actually has 2 other Ultra 64 boards he's repairing right now. But if you don't know what's happened is that back in November, we had a pretty ferocious storm that rolled through and all of the highways that connect me to the coast have been washed out and cut off. Access through them has been restricted for what little repairs there have been. You know how when you play a video game like Grand Theft Auto, like you can't cross some bridges or go down through some tunnels until like you complete a bunch of side missions and then that area of the map unlocks? It feels like that right now. I haven't been able to go down on the coast in a couple of months, so physically I am cut off from the rest of British Columbia. Question number 7. I like the cyberpunk style photos you're taking of your Motorola data terminal. Are you going to make a cyberpunk style video about it? Cyberpunk styled, I'm not going to be theming the room to be doing it all cyberpunky if this isn't cyberpunky enough for what I do. But yes, I would like to do a video on the MDT at some point. I've gotten at least one working again out of the 2. The other one has a broken CRT. I've kind of kludged it in, but right now, if I power it up for some reason, the signal to actually power on the analog board is not reaching to where it needs to be. So I'm trying to debug that. That's a time, but I now have at least one I can show you how it works and what the heck this thing used to do. So a video is coming up. Yes, I am going to show you how the MDT works. Oh, if it wasn't for this beepus here, I'd lose my voice. Question number 8. Now that you've organized your storage, when do we get to see more machines we just get glimpses of hiding in there? This one, again, this is coming into the case of that room is right now crowded. I have gone and I had to completely clean it out because of that flooding. I've put new shelving in there. I've put everything into new boxes. I've done an inventory and I got rid of like tons of stuff. There was like 200 or 300 pounds worth of junk that was taken out of there and thrown away. And right now I have more stuff in boxes that are labeled but are on the floor blocking out other stuff. I really do want to pull stuff out of there as I can make space and the weather improves, that I can kind of stack stuff elsewhere. And then I'm going to bring it out and I'm going to show it off to you. This can be everything from rack mount IBM industrial computers, the SGIs, even Laserdisc players. I got an idea with couple of my Laserdisc players. There's a good story that's involved here. We're going to go very far back, like very, very far back, and see if we can answer the question, what was the first laser video disc player? Question number 9. I am intrigued by your AV wall setup. Have you considered doing a tour of your space? What this person is talking about is directly behind this camera here, I have a very, very large, rather dedicated assortment of AV component equipment on my home theater system. This all started going all the way the heck back to like 2001 when I first got myself like a pretty crummy stereo receiver and just started building around that. Now it consists of video printers, mini disc decks, tape decks, multi-disc CD and DVD changers, surround sound processors, 8-track, like you name it. I have almost everything here, even Betamax. There's also a fair number of game consoles as well, but right now I can't really get to them because my camera equipment is immediately in the way. Also, hidden off to the side right now, I recently got myself for $60 a huge 82-inch plasma display that I'm trying to use to replace a rather small and rather embarrassingly bad rear projection LCD unit. I will, if you want me to do a video on that, sure, I can show you the accessories I have in the system here. It's not all currently functioning, so there's like, belt issues, power supply issues, but definitely I can show that off to you in the future. No problem with that. Question number 10. How was your experience of your first year of HD video and some mild ad revenue for you? HD has been interesting. The lighting has been significantly better. I remember some of my earliest videos where it was basically track lighting and halogen lights, and it looked terrible. Working with these cameras here, I am limited to like around 10 or 12 minutes before I have to break the videos up deliberately because the cameras will simply stop recording. The new recorder for audio is doing fantastic because now it's not merged together with the video. I actually did run into problems before with, well, I had to throw away almost 2 hours of recording simply because I had an error in the recorder. Those terrible, terrible, terrible DV hard disk recorders, and I lost all of my audio. So yeah, I've really enjoyed switching over to HD. My experience so far has been fairly positive from what I've been able to do. Good HD equipment is still very expensive, but it just turns out that a couple of DSLRs and some not really expensive video monitors are really all I need here. It's going great. As for ad revenue, are there ads being visible in some of my videos? I mean, like, I know the ones from the work of others, you will probably see ads popping up, again, because it's content matching some of the audio in there. But I'm not monetizing. I don't see any ad revenue. If there's ads showing up, I'm not aware of them. Question number 11. Why are comments turned off for your Welcome to Celgen Studios video? It's a work of art. Why did I turn that off? Oh, I know that if you make a video and specify when you upload that it's okay for a children audience, and honestly, that intro video is like, that's totally like kid safe. It automatically disables comments. So that may be, I'll double check on that one there. If it's currently set as safe for children, that's why comments are disabled. It's not me. If for some reason I've gone in there and disabled comments, I'm not entirely sure why it's done that. I'll look into it. I have a feeling that, yeah, it's probably because it's currently set to be safe for children, and that's why. So I do apologize for that. Thank you very much, though. I did have fun with that. I really want to revise that one of these days because it's getting kind of old now. But that whole, like, photorealistic adventure game thing going on there, yeah, that worked out quite well, actually. And question number 12. You are always saying you're short on money and space. Why not sell some of your collection? I have actually tried several times to not just pare down the collection, but dispose of it almost entirely. But we are now in a situation where this is the equivalent to computer reset. The collection is so large, you can't sell this as one monolithic sale. If you try and sell things, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to try and cherry pick out the best stuff. And as a result, you'll be left with a giant pile of crap nobody wants. It could be accessories, it could be less desirable equipment. I have tried in the past to sell some of this stuff, and I've had very poor response. One example I'm actually looking at right now is a Philips EL3400 1-inch reel-to-reel videotape recorder from the 1950s. I can find no evidence that this thing ever existed in North America, and I can only find just the one that's sitting right here, rated for 120 volts, as the only proof one ever made it to North America. For how rare it is and how desirable I assume it is, even though it has a ruined drum on it, I've been unable to kick up any interest on it. Yeah, sorry about that. I've tried selling stuff and people, it's not a case of people don't want to offer me enough money, because a lot of the stuff I get for pretty much nothing. It just comes down to there's just not a lot of interest in this stuff. Or if there is interest, they don't want to pay to ship it. A good example of this actually is a Performa I have in the other room. This system is complete. It works, it boots, it has a fresh hard disk install, it comes with the bundled software, it comes with the documentation, it comes with even the coupons. I can't even give this thing away. It's so fragile. If you try and ship it like any Mac of that era, it'll arrive as a pile of like white powdery dust and broken electronics. So like you can't ship it. And no one wants to travel up here and just take it off my hands. And yet at the same time, it's so complete and so nice looking right now. If I handle it too much, it will start to fall apart. I don't want to throw it away, because if I take it to a secondhand store, they'll immediately just throw it away because it's so fragile. Another thing is that if I got rid of, well, a lot of the more stuff I know is worth money, I wouldn't have any specialty and cool tech that'd be able to show off to you folks. So I do have to find that like equilibrium right there in the middle where I don't end up painting myself into a corner with, well, cool, I got money now, but I don't have any cool stuff and I have to start all over again. Some of this stuff I can guarantee you, I've held on to it for so long, like if I sell this or get rid of it, I'm never going to find any more of it again. And I believe that's everything. That is everything. Well, that does it for the 2021 Celgen Studios year-end review. I hope I was able to answer everybody's questions. I hope I was able to fill in the blanks for everybody who is constantly watching this channel and had questions themselves or just wanted to know what was going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So much so, I would like to do a tour of this place, but honestly, it's kind of embarrassing that I live in my parents' basement, so I kind of don't want to show off the rather cramped and small and overloaded conditions that I live in. Sorry. But we're working on it. I'll continue making the highest quality videos I can provide on the most interesting technology that I own and that I can get my hands on. And I look forward to your responses by email, by comments, or just by messaging through one of the many services that are available online. And until next time, I wish everybody a Happy New Year, and I hope to see you again in the year 2022.